Are you optimistic or are you pessimistic? Right now, in today's time, it's really hard to stay optimistic and have that glass half full. We have Zoom calls with people running behind. We're trying to help our kids with their homework. Heck, we're the teacher now because there are no teachers at work because they're at home as well. So there's so many things going on with the challenges, the uncertainty, and the news that it's really hard to keep that positive mindset. And we're going to talk about that today.
This is Janelle Bruland. Welcome to the Intentional Leadership Podcast. So when you think of your life, are you generally a person who looks at life as a cup half full or a cup half empty? Are you an optimist or a pessimist? Well, as a business leader, it's so important that we show up with a mindset of optimism. And it's not if we're going to face challenges in our businesses, it's when. And when we do, it's so important to have a mindset that's going to take you successfully through the challenges for you, your team, and your company. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about a positive versus a negative mindset and how you can shift your mind as a leader. We're going to talk about 3 points today.
Yeah, well, I'm optimistic this is not water, but why our state of mind is so important as a leader. And then we're going to know how to improve that outlook. What does that look like? And then some specific ways that we can shift our mind. So why don't you start with why is it important that we are so positive as a leader?
Well, that's a great question. It's so important because our team, our clients, our businesses, as we're the leader, we're being looked to as the example, how we show up, and our attitude is a contagious one. And since our minds are so powerful, if you think about it, we're thinking between 60 and 80,000 thoughts a day. Our minds are crazy, going all the time. And what we think becomes what we say, becomes what we do, and it ultimately is our results. So if we are having that mindset of optimism, then we are going to have the mindset that's going to be able to lead our companies forward. So that's why it's so important as a leader to be optimistic, especially in times of challenge, because as we know what we're going through now, there's a lot of fear. It tends to paralyze people, and we can make choices to live with optimism, and then our team is going to show up in that way as well.
I was thinking of an optimistic time. I was just at the grocery store, and in the corner, in the deli section, there were a bunch of optimistic people having a donut together. I don't think they were supposed to, but they were just having an impromptu donut. Probably not what they're supposed to be doing, but they're optimistic they wouldn't get sick. So do you have another story you could share?
Yes, well, one that comes to mind is we travel a lot for business, up to visit clients and speaking engagements and various things. And we're not doing a lot of travel now, but I think about a few months ago when I was doing a usual trip just out of our local town, Bellingham, to Portland, just a quick flight in the morning. And it was one of those early 5 a.m. flights where I hadn't had my coffee yet. We don't like that flight because you're typically getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, so you really haven't slept. And I remember getting there and I knew the drill. I was kind of in a fog. I was excited to get through the security line and get to my coffee, which is so important at the end.
For all of us.
For all of us. I'm much happier after and optimistic after I've had my morning cup of coffee. So anyway, I was going through the usual security line and you pull out the bins, you got to put your things in the bins. And so I'm pulling it out, I'm taking my jacket off, I'm putting it in the bin. And suddenly this very positive voice says to me, "You're doing such a great job organizing your bin." And I looked up at her, and here's this woman standing in front of me at, this is before 5 o'clock in the morning, bright smile on her face, and she's just told me that I'm doing a good job putting the things in the bin. And I looked at her and I thought, wow. And I looked down at the bin and I thought, yeah, I did actually. That does look pretty organized. And my chest puffed up a little bit, and I felt pretty good about that. I thought, wow, I'm doing a good job, and it actually made me smile. And then I kind of thought I was somebody special for just a moment until I heard her tell the next person behind me that they had also done a really great job putting things in the bin.
It was the morning travelers. Everybody knows what to do in the morning. It was the 9 o'clock people that just chuck it all in there and forget, and they leave their belt on or whatever it is. So.
That's true. But what it reminds me of is that kind of positive interaction. Every interaction that we have is one that's going to either bring somebody up or bring somebody down. Right. So this woman, I don't know if she's naturally cheery at 5 o'clock in the morning or what, but I believe that she made a choice that she was going to put a smile on people's faces as they walked through. I don't believe that she wakes up that way every day. And she was one of the most positive people that I've seen. So that was just a great example, a reminder to me of how we show up is so important in having that positive mindset.
I think that was on her CV when she applied for the job with TSA. I'm positive at 5 a.m. and I'm happy to do body cavity checks at 5 a.m. as well. And so she was hired.
Oh, dear. Oh,
So she's positive all the time. So how can we improve our outlook? Do you have any tips or tools for us to use?
Well, you bet. Well, first of all, I have a question for you to think about. And that is...
That's always scary.
evaluate your mindset. Do you even think about what your mindset is? So the question is, if you look back, over, say, the last year, if you're thinking about it and different things that you've gone through, do you rate yourself as one who is an optimist in most situations or a pessimist? What is that mindset? Are you prone to optimism or are you more prone to negativity? So if, let's just say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being you're really a pessimist and you tend to go to the negative, or 10 being that you're positive, you're optimistic, and when things happen, you look at the bright side of things. So where would you score yourself on that scale? And wherever you are, I believe that we can move that forward and we can be more optimistic if we actually take the time to be aware of where we're at. So I would say...
Can I go from a 2 to a 10?
A 2 to a 10. That's going to be challenging. Like I said, wherever you find yourself on the scale, you can go forward.
What if you're a 10, you want to be a 5?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Oh,
I don't think that's going to happen.
Just curious.
Well, and I do think that people are, tend to be either an optimist or a pessimist. Mm-hmm. And I think it's okay that we have people that tend to play the devil's advocate, that look for problems to be able to help us find solutions. But if we're constantly in this state of negativity, that doesn't take us anywhere. So how to improve your outlook is first becoming aware of what your natural tendency is and really asking yourself, what is my outlook and do I want to improve it? And then making that choice to improve your outlook and to choose positivity.
Okay, so first we look at it and look at ourselves internally. Okay, am I positive or negative? Mm-hmm. And maybe I can inch forward a little bit. Maybe I can go from a 3 to a 5 or a 5 to a 7 or an 8 to a 9. And so then once we internalize that, what do you have any specific things that we can do?
Yes.
Something that we could just stop and say, I'm going to go every time I hit this button here, whether it's a challenge or a person, or something at work, at home, whatever it is. Oh, I'm going to stop. I'm going to regroup. I'm going to act this way. Do you have anything specifically we could do like that?
Definitely. So let's talk about some specific ways to shift your mind. So we have to become aware of where we maybe have gone to some negative thinking, become aware of that. And it starts with the choice. We have to choose that we don't want to have that unhealthy, toxic, negative thinking. It does not serve us well. It does not serve the teams that we lead well. So we make that choice. And then we shift the thought to something positive. So if we have something negative that comes up in our life, we might find ourselves ruminating with a negative thought. And a practice that I do is I will actually write that thought down. I will think about what is that toxic thought that's going on in my mind, and I write that down. And for me, that's a way of releasing it. And then I write down an affirmation statement, a positive statement instead. What is the healthy thought instead that we need to be thinking on this? So if you're facing a challenge at work, what is a positive state, a positive solution, something that you can do to change your mindset in a positive way? And we had something just come up last week where we were going to be having our quarterly planning meeting with our team. And I have to admit, I was feeling disappointed when I got up in the morning, kind of frustrated and negative, because we love to get together with our team
and eat
and have a lunch together and do whiteboarding and talk about all of our wins for the quarter. And I was feeling pretty negative when I got up because we weren't going to be able to do that.
Right.
And so instead, I made the decision and the choice when I realized, well, this isn't healthy thinking, is we talked about it. We thought, well, what can we do instead? And we thought we can still have this meeting and talk about what's going well and what we want to change and have this together. And we're going to figure out how to do it virtually. So we have a restaurant locally that delivers to us, and we got a hold of them and we all picked what we wanted to order, and we just had the restaurant deliver to each of our homes. And then we all got on a Zoom call and we had lunch together.
Right. It was another great way to do it.
Yes.
And, we were on TV. So everybody had ourselves, big screen TVs up, and it worked. We have to adjust during these times. And that's really the piece that you have to remember is the mindset is to make that adjustment. Find that positive. I always wondered why you had hundreds of journals. It's wow. Now I know I'm in trouble.
No, it makes a difference. Another way to do it is we talked about meetings. In your meetings, talk about what's good in your world. And something that we've done for a number of years at our team meetings for work is we start the meeting with what's a positive in your world. And we end the meeting with a positive bookend as well, just saying, what are you most excited about to go do now? When the meeting is done, what's the action step that you're most excited about? And it makes such a difference if you start the meeting where everybody shares a positive in their world, and then you end the meeting where you talk about what you're excited to go work on. It just creates this state of positivity. And in talking about the team together, be open about the behaviors that you want to exhibit as a team. We talked about the role of a leader on the last podcast that we had. And if you didn't get a chance to listen to that, go back and listen to what the role is of a leader, especially in challenging times. But I talked a little bit about gather your team and talk about what behaviors you want to exhibit as a team, as a leadership team, and then be willing to call each other on the behaviors. So if you've decided, we're going to show up in a positive way, we're going to bring positive solutions, that then if somebody is being negative, if I'm being negative, my team members are able to call me on that.
Right. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Talk about our happy crappy that we do at dinner. We can take this to
kids' favorite part of it.
We can take this to our families as well as work. So
That's
talk
right.
about how we talk about positives as a family.
Yeah. Well, when we get together around the dinner table, we are eating, and part of what spurs on conversation, especially with, middle schoolers, it seemed to work really well, or you try to, because they seem to just kind of clamp down. But anyway, we have happy crappy. And we go around the table, somebody starts, and we say what was good about the day and what was bad about the day. And then we take that bad and we try to help that person come up with something positive from it. Maybe there's a positive spin, or, maybe we just, the acknowledgement of it's okay. And then we move on from there. But the happy crappy, it kind of engages everybody, and it lets everybody know where they're at for the day and what they might be looking forward to, or what maybe they want more information on or more help from. So we do it a lot.
Yeah, definitely. Great.
Much to our kids' chagrin.
So those are some ideas. One more for you is start your day with a positive mindset. And so right when you're getting out of bed in the morning, start yourself with a morning routine that's going to set you up for a day that you're going to win, your most successful day. And that starts with positivity. Both of us have a morning routine, which involves taking some time, coffee, as well as taking some time to just be grateful for the day and be excited about the day. And if we enter the day with that kind of a mindset, it really makes all the difference. Again, it's back to that choice, making the choice to have that mindset of optimism.
And I also find that finishing the day out is another way of doing that. Just shutting down and looking at all the good things that happen during the day, so that it makes it easier to sleep. And you might sleep through the night if you're thinking about all those positive things, rather than dwelling and stewing on something that is just gnawing at you from the day.
Right.
So I think stopping at the end of the day is almost as important for
Good
me
point.
personally.
I agree. So let's review what we've discussed in this podcast. So we talked about why our mindset is so important as a leader.
Right.
We need to have that mindset of optimism, because those emotions are catchy, and it's going to help our team to be optimistic as well. And then second, How do you improve your outlook? Well, being aware of when you're feeding that negativity and making sure that you are making a choice to have an optimistic outlook, to be thinking about what you're thinking about and making sure that you're turning those negative thoughts into positive ones. It is your choice. And then we gave you some tactics of specific ways to shift your mind, being aware, feeding your mind with positive things, adding some positive things into your day. Right. To be able to help you and getting your team to join along at the same time.
And just be optimistic with little things like this might not be water.
Well, let's cheers to that. So decide to have a mindset of optimism. It's going to make things a lot better for you as a leader and help you, especially in challenging times in your business or in your life, to be able to take through your company through to be successful on the other side.
Hey, salute.
So thanks for tuning in today. If this has been helpful to you, please share this episode with others. When you share it, when you rate it, when you subscribe to our podcast, it helps the message to get out to others. So share this with other leaders.
And don't forget, slam the bell so if we do this again, when we do this again, you'll get notified.
I've included in today's podcast a leader's guide for you to be able to download, to review for yourself, or it's a great exercise to review with your team. Remember, when you grow as a leader, your team will grow and your company will grow. You can transform your leadership, crush your goals, and love your life.